On July 5, Birmingham became the center of the rock universe. The Back to the Beginning festival wasn't just a concert, it was a once-in-a-lifetime gathering, a monumental farewell, and a celebration of everything heavy metal stands for. Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath, the legends born from Birmingham's industrial heart, played their final shows in front of a roaring hometown crowd. From the moment the gates opened, the energy was undeniable. Fans from around the world packed the venue, knowing they were about to witness history. And under the careful curation of music director Tom Morello, they did. Tom Morello promised, the greatest heavy metal show ever. A bold statement by any measure. But somehow, impossibly, the night delivered. And then some. The lineup read like a who's who of metal royalty. Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Gojira, Lamb of God, titans of the genre, each took the stage for blazing mini-sets. But they didn't just play their own songs. Each band paid tribute by covering a Sabbath classic, reminding everyone where it all began. It wasn't about ego or competition. It was about legacy, about acknowledging the roots of it all. Every riff, every scream, every thunderous beat was a thank you note to Black Sabbath. But the surprises didn't end there. A revolving door of rock and metal icons joined forces as Tom Morello's All-Stars, forming a supergroup like no other. Members of Disturbed, Smashing Pumpkins, Ghost, Sleep Token, and more joined in, unleashing covers and classics that spanned generations of rock history. And they didn't shy away from the Ozzy catalog either. The All-Stars leaned heavily into the Prince of Darkness solo work, electrifying the crowd with songs that defined decades of rebellion and darkness. Ozzy Osbourne himself, seated in his now iconic black, bat-winged throne, delivered the penultimate set of the night. Age and illness may have confined him physically, but his voice, his charisma, and his connection to the crowd remained as powerful as ever. He sang with passion, vulnerability, and fire. Each lyric carried the weight of a lifetime spent on the edge. The crowd hung on every word, fully aware they were witnessing the final chapter of a legendary career. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. The original lineup of Black Sabbath, Ozzy, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward, reunited one last time to close the night in triumphant fashion. They opened their set with the unmistakable power of War Pigs, the crowd erupting in unified voice, singing every word with conviction. NIB followed, the riff crawling like a monster across the night sky. Sabbath's chemistry, still intact after all these years, was palpable. Iron Man rang out next, its iconic riff sending shockwaves through the crowd. Phones lit up the stadium like stars in the night, capturing the moment for eternity. And finally, Paranoid, the song that started it all, brought the night to a roaring, bittersweet close. This was it, the end, and it was perfect. For those who couldn't be there in person, the show was live-streamed on backtothebeginning.com. Viewers from across the globe tuned in, some sharing their own tributes during the broadcast. The pre-recorded messages added another layer of emotion to the night. Legends like Elton John and Dolly Parton offered their respect and admiration. Korn's Jonathan Davis spoke from the heart. Ricky Gervais, ever the fan, shared his gratitude. But perhaps the most touching were the clips from ordinary fans, people whose lives had been shaped, healed, and inspired by the music. It was a reminder that Sabbath's story wasn't just about the band. It was about the millions of lives they touched. The outsiders who finally found their anthem. The show was packed with highlights, far too many to count. But some moments will be etched in memory forever. Like Metallica tearing through a blistering cover of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, with James Hetfield grinning ear to ear. Or Slayer, reunited for the night, unleashing a ferocious version of Children of the Grave, igniting mosh pits across the venue. Pantera, led by Phil Anselmo's unmistakable roar, ripped through, into the void, paying homage with crushing power. Gojira's heavy, atmospheric take on Planet Caravan turned the crowd into a sea of swaying lights. Lamb of God's brutal Symptom of the Universe shook the very ground beneath Villa Park. Tom Morello's All-Stars weren't to be outdone. Their rendition of Crazy Train, with David Draymond on vocals and Morello himself shredding the solo, sent chills down spines. Billy Corgan took the stage for an emotional cover of Changes, his voice cracking with sincerity. Ghost's Papa V Perpetua led a haunting version of Under the Sun, bringing his signature theatricality to the Sabbath classic. Sleep Token's mysterious frontman delivered a brooding, emotional rendition of Solitude, stunning the crowd into silence. And then there was Ozzy, holding back tears during Mama, I'm Coming Home, his voice trembling but true. In that moment, thousands of fans felt like family. Throughout the night, Jason Momoa, the evening's host and lifelong Sabbath fan, kept the energy high, introducing acts, sharing stories, and leading chants that shook the rafters. Between sets, the massive screens played behind-the-scenes footage from Sabbath's early days. Grainy images of Aston streets, clips of the band in the studio, reminders of humble beginnings and extraordinary achievements. As the night drew to a close, the gravity of the moment settled in. This wasn't just a goodbye to a band. It was a farewell to an era. Black Sabbath's music has always been about the outsider, the misfit, the misunderstood. And now, those very people stood together, shoulder to shoulder, united in gratitude and love. The final note rang out, and the stage fell silent. But no one moved. They stood, clapping, crying, shouting their thanks into the Birmingham night. Ozzy, ever the showman, raised his arms one last time and simply said, "Thank you. I love you all, forever." And with that, the lights dimmed, and Black Sabbath's story came to an end where it all began. But their legacy, that lives on, in every riff, every lyric, every kid picking up a guitar for the first time. For Birmingham, for metal, and for the millions of fans around the world, this night will never be forgotten. The Back to the Beginning festival wasn't just a farewell show. It was a love letter. From Sabbath to their fans. From fans to Sabbath. From one generation to the next. Legends walked the earth that night. And now, their footprints are forever etched in the soil of Birmingham.